Hey, what's up guys? In this video we'll have a look at Conquest minis and try to answer the two main questions that some new players have regarding their size. Firstly, how big are they? And secondly, how well do they translate into, well, other gaming systems, how compatible they are with other figures. So in this video we'll have a look at two factions that I sort of collect, well, one more than the other, but anyway, that's the Spires, the alien race that uses ferromancy and biomancy to subjugate all life form on the planet, and 100 Kingdoms, which is your like typical medieval human faction. So before we start, there's a few things that you should know about this gaming system. Officially it's 38 mil, and there's only three different base sizes that they are. That's the infantry base size, they're all standard. The brood base size, which is the same as the cavalry base size and some other kind of smaller monsters. And there's a monster base size. I'll show you an example later. So before we compare the infantry models, I'll quickly introduce them. So here we have the 100 Kingdoms crossbowman, a swordsman from the kind of elite regiment, and two kind of standard men-at-arms. Now for the Spires, we have a force-grown drone, so this is the main kind of chaff unit in the game, but it's also very useful because you can use them for other purposes except for fighting. You can look that up. There's some interesting things you can do with them. There's the Marksman Clone, a more kind of elite unit archer, a three-armed archer, and a Vanguard clone, another more elite regiment of clones. Okay, now let's compare these guys to two models from another gaming system, and we'll use these guys as an example. So we have a we'll just put them there. Let's have a look at the Spires first. So these guys are much larger than the kind of standard small Cursed City zombie and skeleton. They're slightly larger than the kind of Khorne Blood Reaver, but they're about the same size with these crouching swamp walks. Because if you see, if this guy would stand up, he'd easily be taller than the 38mm men-at-arms, and he'd be about the same size as a warrior from an elite regiment. And here you have a hero character from Games Workshop, and as you can see, he's actually much larger than the Conquest figures. Here's a character from Conquest, the High Clone Executor. And, well, of course, to be fair, this is quite a chunky guy. But here we have a standard bearer, Nork. Standard bearer. And even then, the size difference is not that great. And if we compare them to humans, put them on the same line. And bring them in closer for you. Can you see the difference? Now let's have a look at some larger models. For this we'll bring in the Spire Avatar. These guys are quite elite in the game. A Brute Drone. So these guys are pretty much a bigger, stronger version of these. And a Mounted Noble Lord. And we'll compare them to some larger models from Games Workshop, namely the Chaos Lord on Carcajack, a Chaos Spawn, and some others which I'll bring in a minute. So if we compare these two cavalry models, you can see that the size gap is becoming a little more apparent than with the infantry units. If we introduce another character, a killer boss on Gnashtooth, can you tell which one is 24mm and which one is 38mm? The size difference is not as obvious as one could have thought. And if we look at the size of the body of the rider, the difference is not that great. If we look at, say, a human and compare it to this guy, just get this out of the way. If he would stand up, because he's sitting down on this beast, he'd be much taller. Actually, he would be much taller even if you compare it with this chunky boy. Now imagine him standing up. He'd be at least this tall. And then, what else can I show you? A Chaos Chariot. Yeah. And we'll compare it to Mounted Noble Lord. So yeah, you can say that, yeah, the size difference is certainly there. Because this is a monster, obviously. Can you imagine these guys fighting each other? Yeah. Yeah. So now let's bring a monster model into the equation. Here's the, whoa, I adjusted my camera and it's still not enough. This guy's absolutely huge. This is the Spire Abomination. Actually, it's easier to even do this. So if we compare it to, to the other guys we've seen, he's absolutely huge. And to my knowledge, this is actually one of the biggest, if not the biggest, models in the whole game. There's actually many ways you can build it, and yeah, this is probably as tall as it goes because these legs, there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 ball joints in each leg, so he can be positioned very differently and into more interesting poses. I actually regret building him this way, although he's more stable, so I can easily transport him. He doesn't look, well, as exciting as he could have been, like climbing over some rocks or just attacking someone or have like a few legs in the air. I don't know, it would have been maybe slightly cooler. But I can always get another one, so no problem there. This is the Killer Boss and the Chaos Chariot. So yeah, the monsters are pretty big. But then again, if you remember some of the biggest models from Games Workshop, they're quite tall as well, so unfortunately I can't show you any of them because I don't have any. But well, they're quite comparable, I think. So anyway, I hope this video has been useful. I know it is not conclusive because we only had a look at only 2 factions, the Spires and the 100 Kingdoms. So obviously there's a few more in the game currently, and there's going to be even more. I think the game developers mentioned there would be about 20 factions, well, at a certain stage. But now we have Wadrun, which is an orc equivalent, and the orcs riding dinosaurs. They're quite cool, and they're also quite chunky. So we need to remember that. There's the Nords, they're quite large as well. And yeah, there's the Dwegon, the big angry dwarven guys. So that's it. Have we answered the main questions that we wanted to answer? How big they are? I think you have the, well, quite a good idea of how big Conquest Minis are. And are they compatible with other gaming systems, namely 24mm? Well, that's something you can decide after having watched this video and I thank you for doing so. I hope it has been useful, and see you guys soon.